and exercise plus plus. Next, starting exercise. So I want to get the exercise value, means I value exactly, right? So in the last example I, we will going to get the exercise number. Okay. Next, inside this for loop, I am going to another for loop for nested for loops. Okay. So I'm going to declare a variable. So repetition. So repetition is also starts with 1. So each exercise I'm planning to repeat 5 times. Okay. So repetition should be less than 6. Okay, 1 to 5 then. Then repetition plus plus. See, just I'm changing the variables. Don't get confused. Okay. Console.log. So lifting weight, repetition, dollars. Sorry. Let's save this thing. See. So once I started exercise 1, so the same exercise is going to repeat 5 times. Next, once I started exercise 2, the same exercise is going to repeat 5 times. And once if I started exercise 3, the same exercise will going to repeat 5 times. So how does it exactly works? Okay, most important guys. So nested for loop. Okay, let's start. I'm gonna write a simple numbers. Okay, I don't want to write. So let I is equal to 0. I should be less than 3. I plus plus. I should less than or equal to 3. I plus plus. So inside this for loop, I am going to write another for loop. Let j is equal to 0. J should be less than 3 and j plus plus. See, once if I start, see I is equal to 0, 0 less than 3. Okay, 0 less than 3. Then it's going to start the for loop, inner for loop. Okay, so once it comes to here, j is equal to also 0. I'm planning to print here console dot log I. So what is the I value? 0. Initially I value is 0. So it's going to print it here. Next, it starts with this inner for loop. Okay, because so I told you JavaScript executes line by line, right? So once it checks the condition, it's going to execute this console.log I. This is an I, sorry. Okay, console.log I is equal to 0. It prints. Next, it goes for the inner for loop, right? So now it's see j is equal to 0. J should be less than 3, right? Console.log j value. Okay, so now it's going to start executing inner for loop. Okay, so what is the value of j? J is equal to 0. Does it come out of the loop? No. See, still my condition is not becomes false, right? So it keeps on repeating here only until the condition. See, but currently I value is always 0. So now it's going to increment I j by 1. Okay, j is 1, so 1 is less than 3, right? Next, 2 is less than 3, right? Next, so 3 is not less than 3. Okay, once the condition is false, so it will come out of this loop and it is going to start executing. Okay, from the initial for loop. So what is the I value now? I becomes 1, right? So I is equal to 1. See, now this is a fresh start now. Means I am going to reset. I am going to start the inner for loop again from the beginning. Okay, it's a fresh start now because once it's come out of the loops, so it's completely resetted. So that's the reason j will always starts with 0 again. So again, j is equal to 0, j is equal to 1, j is equal to 2. Once j is equal to 3, it will exit, it will terminates, it's come out of the loops. What is the I value now? I is equal to 2. I is equal to 2. Next, the j will start from the beginning. What is j? 1, 0, 1, 2. Now its condition is false. It's come out of the loop again. So it's because I is equal to 3 now, right? Then j is equal to 0, j is equal to 1, and j is equal to 2. Understood? Any doubts here? Okay. So most important, see, when you write our nested for loop, the inner for loop and outer for loop is executes independently. No need to depend on this. Okay. But outer for loops will stays only. So until unless the inner for loop sits completes its repetitions. So once it's completed, it's come out of these things and it will start executing. Understood? Any doubts in the for loop? Okay, that's the reason. See, first it will write starting exercise I is equal 1, right? Next, the inner for loops is keeps on repeating 5 times. Once it's false, once it is false, it will come out of next I is equal to 2, that exercise is equal to 2. Okay, so it will start, see, that's the reason exercise is equal to 2, you'll see these things. Okay, next it's going to repeat the same thing to 5 times and it's come out of this. So once it's false, it's come out of this for loop. Next, the outer for loop will start from the current value. What is the value? So I is equal to, the x is equal to 3. Okay, so x is equal to 3. Then inner for loops is going to keep on executing. Understood? Any doubts? Any doubts here? Okay. So this is how the nested for loop is going to work. Okay, we have seen for loop, continue and break, and nested for loop. Okay, this is fine enough. Okay, but until I explain for off, for in, or anything for each advanced methods, so better use for loops for all my tasks. Okay, for the current. Why I'm asking it, right? So in the last in the current project only, I used to get in one requirement. Okay, so the data transformation is completely tricky conditions. Okay, objects and arrays. We used to get an array of objects from the backend. So this is a desired expected input data, but sometimes data will be takes too much of time, around 15 seconds, all these things. So on the time performance improvement techniques, we will use these things. On the time they will not send a proper data. They will going to send some different kind of data which will take a less time to reach us. But once it reaches, I want to convert to array of objects again, whatever the things I want to convert. On the time, so we were used a lot of advanced methods. None of that doesn't work. Okay, finally we will go for the basics for loop only. We'll create a 2-dimensional array or like these things. So on the time it's worked. So in real time, don't think like all advanced method will work. Okay, sometimes we need the basics methods also. Okay, so we will use these things. So that's the reason, practice it. If you practice a lot in the normal for loop only, so the for each and for off will be easy for you. Okay, next we'll go for while loop. Okay, so while loop, unlike for loop, while doesn't expect any initialization or any increment or decrement. It's so while loops keeps on executing until some certain condition is returns false. Once the condition is false, it's going to stop executing. It doesn't require any initializer or any counter or any increment or decrement. Only certain condition is true or false. So based on that one, it's going to execute. Understood? We'll see that while loop. So even for loop and while loops are entry control loops. Okay. See, before executing this one, I'm checking the condition, right? So we call entry control loops. While loop. While loop. This was a specified condition. So unlike for loop, so while only requires condition expression. That's it. Yeah, let's see the syntax. So we're gonna for while, there we will put a condition. Okay, condition. Next, followed by curly braces inside the body. So we want to write code to be executed. Any statements which wants to repeat again and again, we will write these things. Okay, so that's it. While loop. So when to use while loop and when to use for loop. Okay, so if you know when to start and if you know when to end, the best is for loop. So when to start and when to end, the best loop is a for loop. So if you know, don't know, so when to start and when to end, but we want to execute some code whenever the condition becomes false. So best loop is while loop. Understood? So when to start and when to when to begin and when to end, you can go for loop. So and you don't know when to start and when to end, but you want to keep on execute some code, but when the condition becomes false, so you want to stop. So just like so you're going to get an indefinite data from the backend. Okay, on the time we will use while loop. Okay, so they will gonna send some flags, all these things. Okay, so whenever that flag becomes false, so you're gonna stop receiving the data or you're gonna stop executing your while loop. Understood? So they at the time while loop is better. But here I'm gonna write an example, right? So I don't have any indefinite data, all these things. So I'm gonna mock up all these things. So it will looks like say for loop, but it's not exactly for loops. So otherwise, if I write this for loop, so if I'm not to put any proper condition when to start and when to end, so it's go for crash. You go to memory, it's going to full stack completely. It's going to occupy the complete stack of the memory, and it's going to stop crash the browser. Okay, to avoid these things, so I will use a protect condition. See, in globally, I'm going to declare a variable called let. So did I take already I? Okay. Let I is equal to 0. So next I'm going to put a simple while loop. Okay. So whenever I less than 5. So this is the main condition. The while loop requires only this thing. Only this condition is fine enough. Okay. So here I'm going to just print I value. Next I want to increment the I. Even if you're not increment, 0 is always less than 5. It's go for indefinite again. Okay. So we want to put some controlling. So that's the reason I'm using while. Okay. So based on this condition only, it's going to work. Or else you might ask, so go for different example. Okay. So it exactly looks like a while for loop only. Why we have initializer, we have also counter, right? Okay, we have some, so we have put a condition also. So in that case, see, I'm going to declare j is equal to 5. Okay, so j is equal to 5. So I'm going to put I should be less than j. Okay, I should be less than j. I'm going to increment I. Okay, and also I'm going to decrement j. Like these things. So you require some condition like these things. Understood? So for every iteration, I'm reducing j by 1 and increment I by 1. Understood? So you'll see certain situations in while learning. But Majorly 80% we'll use a for loop only. But we'll use also occasionally we'll also use while loop also. Understood? Any doubts in while loop?
Why decrements? I don't understand.
So we want to put a condition, right? Otherwise, it's go for indefinite.
Okay.
Let's go for indefinite. Your browser is going to crash. I want to stop this run, right? Understood?
Yes, yes. If not, J is not decrement. I mean,
Yeah, if J is not decrement, so you'll go
we will
for
get only the required output.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Okay, so this is we go make sure these things. Okay, you should not crash your browser. In order to avoid such things, we will use these things. Okay, so this is all about while loop. So next we have do while. Do while. So why do we use do while loop? Okay, have a loop. I want to execute a code block minimum one time. Even the certain condition is also false. Even the condition is also false, irrespective of the condition. So I want to execute a code minimum one time. Okay, there we'll use a do while loop. So it's an exit control loop. When you see the example, understand. So do while loop is similar to while loop. The only difference is it evaluates condition after the execution of code block. Okay, so the syntax for do while. See, first I want to write a do keyword followed by code to be executed. See, first I've written the code to be executed. Later I'm going to put a expression, condition expression. Next, after this completion, I'm going to put a while. So there I'm going to put a condition expression. Okay. Any doubts here? Okay, let's see that example. Let k is equal to 0. See, do. I'll put an alert value of k plus plus. I'm going to increment the k. So I'm going to put a while k should be less than 5. See, observe guys here. Okay, so here I'm planning to put an alert. Okay, alert pop up 5 times. Okay, so observe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 0 to 4, 5 times I'm gonna put it. So I want to execute this code whenever k value is less than 5. But observe, I make it to 7. Okay, now tell me, is this code executes or not? Yes, it will execute only one time. Only one time. See, it will start executing. It's not going to check any condition. It start executing. It's put an alert. So then it's going to check the value. Here it will see the condition. Okay, so case, so 7 is not less than 5. Its condition is false. It's come out of the loop, but it will execute minimum one time also. Even the condition is also false. Observe. So printed 7 one times. That's it. It's come out of the loop because the condition is false. But even if the condition is also false, it will execute it one time, minimum one time. Understood? On that time, we will use do while loop. Okay. You want to execute some code, even the condition is also false, but you want to execute only one time. So we will go for do while. Any doubts here online? Okay, let's recap what we learned today. Okay, so we have learned about basically for loop. Okay, so how the for loop is get initialized, how does it checks the condition, and how does it keep on executing. Next, we will see continuing break statement, right? So we want to stop, we want to skip one iteration, we'll go for continue. If you want to stop before the condition is also false, so we'll go for break. Next, we will see for nested for loops. So a for loop inside another for loop. Okay, inner for loops keeps on repeats. Okay, until the condition is false. Then it's come out of, and outer for loops continue its repetitions. Okay. Next, we will see while loop. So when we don't know when to start and when to end. Okay. So but we have only one condition. Okay, on the condition only we want to stop some for loop, some loop. Okay, we will go for while loop. Okay, next, if you want to execute a code minimum one time, even the certain condition also false, so we'll go for do while loop. Okay, so the remaining everything will be same. So these are the same behaviors. Today I'm going to ask you an important question. You know about tables, right? In school days we have learned about tables. Okay, don't use any multiplication operator. Don't do any multiplication operator. Only use assignment operator. Like these things. Only use this plus equals. You have to start with two stable or any it's up to you. Okay, 2 stable or 3 stable you are up to 2 to 10 like these things. You have to print. So 2 ones are like these things. Okay, up to 10. Two times up. Okay, can do these things using for loop, using this assignment operator only. Can do these things. Okay. So along with these things, I will give some patterns. Okay, triangle, square, star patterns, number patterns, pyramid patterns. So reverse pyramid, all these things. Okay, I will share you in the group. Okay, so practice, complete those tasks using nested for loops. Okay, so it might ask nested two nested for loops in a single nested for loops also. So you know how the nested for loops works, right? So and when to start and when to end. And also you heard about ampersand NBSP. If you want to put a break, see guys. So these tasks you should not use console.log, use document.write. Because in console.log it doesn't work good. Okay, you can use document.write to print your results. Document.write. In the beginning class I told. So instead of console.log also we can print the result in using document.write, right? So there, if you want to provide a spaces between two characters, you can use ampersand NBSP. If you want to take a break, so you know break tag, right? Angle BR angle. So break tag, these things. Ampersand NBSP. So it will give you one space. Okay. If you want to put a break, so you can use break tag. Okay. If you want to go for next line, you can use break tag. Okay. Can you do these things? So I will share the tasks, pattern, design pattern. Okay. So this is a task for you today. So complete these things. So tomorrow onwards we'll start about strings and its methods. Okay, strings and methods. See guys, so yesterday's class will you have to revision, okay, before coming to today's class, okay, because it's a continuations. Okay, there also strings will use a for loops sometimes. I will show that one. Okay, so don't skip anyone's class in between. Okay, so it's a continuation. So whatever the things yesterday are completed, so tomorrow will be its continuation always. Okay, so that's it. Okay guys.